Good morning. I'm the Reverend Donna Dahlham, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I serve this beloved congregation in ministry and shared ministry. Our mission calls us to celebrate diversity, encourage spiritual growth, and promote social responsibility while we travel and care for this earth. We are a freely gathered, open, welcoming community supported by your contributions, which can be made with the donate button on our website by going to Breeze if you're a member, or by mailing your check to 524 Allen Avenue, Portland, Maine, or going to the donate button on our website. Please note if your donation is for your pledge or a gift to our Share the Plate. The Share the Plate recipient for April is the Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI. For more information about NAMI, please see the link in today's order of service. I'm so glad you've joined us today. If you're new, a special welcome. And following the service, we have a time of gathered community you are welcome to stay for, and we hope that you do. Please open your chat box before the service starts to see some of the links and available information that will pop up before we prepare and after worship ends. Again, welcome. Welcome to this time together. call to worship words are those of the Reverend Peggy Clark. Easter is a holiday of miracles. It is life from death, joy from sorrow, celebration from mourning. Easter reminds us that all is never lost, that the story continues as long as we are here to tell it. So gather up your worries, we are going to bury them beneath the ground and watch them transform into flowers of hope. Pushing through the earth, reminding us that on Easter morning, love brings us back to life, calls us from sadness, from grief, from anxiety, into a world renewed and alive and filled with joy once again.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Our chalice lighting words this morning for holy days on which we recall the old stories are the words of Dillman Baker Sorrells. For holy days on which we recall old stories, we light the flame. For Passover, which reminds us of the courage and strength of those seeking freedom in the past, we light the flame. For Easter, which reminds us that love is our greatest challenge, we light the flame. For gathering today in this sacred space, we light the flame. For the opportunity to be together as a community, to remember the past, to plan for the future, to be alive in the present. I invite you all now to light your home chalices.
When I lived in the foothills of the Ouachita Mountains in Arkansas, my house sat on the edge of a little-known lake, surrounded by trees. One night, long after my 3-year-old Ella had gone to bed, I saw one of my favorite creatures hanging out on my glass door, a Luna moth, a large, bright green moth that is active very late at night. She may have been drawn to the light of our windows against the night of the forest, but I was drawn to her fairy-like beauty. I wanted little Ella to see her, but she was fast asleep, so I decided to bring her inside until morning, so Ella would get a chance to meet this magnificent midnight moth. I put the Luna in a medium-sized box with a clear plastic front that had held a recently opened toy. In the morning, I excitedly introduced Ella to the Luna. As the Luna crawled gently on my daughter, I felt very blessed to have had this visitor. That evening, I picked up the box and noticed our Luna had left something. Little round packages. Tiny Luna eggs. The eggs were stuck to the box, and I didn't want to hurt them by moving them. I wasn't sure what to do, so I checked out some books from the library and figured out how to care for the babies. Here's what it was like to raise Lunas. First of all, newly hatched Luna caterpillars are super tiny. You have to be very gentle. Your breath would be like a fierce wind to them. Your hands could crush them. They will teach you to be gentle and calm. Lunas eat the leaves of the trees they were born to, so feed them only from the tree their mother chose for them. In our case, we chose the closest tree to our house that had leaves we knew they would eat. They will encourage you to think about where food grows and eat local. Lunapillars eat a lot, almost constantly. As they grow up, feel free to read to them or tell them how beautiful they are. They will keep growing and growing every day. They will remind you you are always changing. You changed 1,000 times before you were even born, and then you were born and have changed every day since. Lunas shed their skin several times as they grow. Each time they shed their skin is called an instar. They will encourage you to celebrate your instars and leave behind that which restricts you or no longer fits who you've become. Lunas explore their world. They will inspire you to be curious. Luna caterpillars eat so many delicious leaves that they grow bigger and stronger. A Luna caterpillar at this size is ready to transform into a Luna moth. First, they will curl leaves around them, using silk to create a sort of sleeping bag. Once snuggled into this cocoon, they will begin a transformation, a big change. They will become a pupa. Inside the cocoon, they look like this. Imagine these cocoons are outside. Since the Lunas are wrapped up in dried leaves and silk, they would almost disappear into the forest floor. Other creatures in the forest don't know about their transformation. They remind us that sometimes other people don't know what we're figuring out for ourselves. Hard things, important things, things we prepared our whole lives for. When a Luna moth is ready, they will come out of their cocoon. Coming back out into the world doesn't look so easy. They have wings now, but they aren't ready to fly. See how small their wings are? Now they will climb to a higher place so they can hang upside down to dry and inflate their wings. Now the Luna is ready to take flight. Their new moth bodies were created to find one another in the moonlight. They will use all their energy to fly to each other and create new Luna life. For the rest of their first day with wings, we spent more time with them. We even took one of the Lunas to church for the blessing of the animals. At night, when we released the Luna moths into the forest, I thought about how lucky we'd been to be with these beautiful beings on their journey. They reminded us to be gentle, calm, curious, to leave old skin behind when it no longer fits, to nourish our bodies, and work on the hard, fun, and beautiful business of becoming.
know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open.
I know this rose will
I know this rose
I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose. I know this rose. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open.
I invite you into the spirit of prayer or meditation, as is your practice, with these words from the book In Holy Quiet, Meditations by Richard Gilbert. A tomb is no place to stay, be it a cave in the Judean hills or the dark cavern of the spirit. A tomb is no place to stay when fresh grass rolls away the stone of winter cold and valiant flowers burst their way into warmth and light. A tomb is no place to stay when each morning announces our reprieve and we know we are granted yet another day of living. A tomb is no place to stay when life laughs a welcome to hearts that have been away too long.
Can you feel it? Faintly flickering. A tiny light stirs within. Hear the whispers in this moment. Take a deep breath. Take it in and cherish the flame. Let's all start again. Find a new way to live. With love it begins. Let's all cherish the flame. Hearts will open and then together we'll shine, and we will keep this flame alive. Can you see it radiating with purpose, growing strong? Just imagine it getting brighter. A million candles sparkling on, and cherish the flame. Let's all start again. Find a new way to live. With love it begins. Let's all Take a deep breath. Take it in. And cherish the flame. Let's all start again. Find a new way to live. With love it begins. Let's all cherish the flame. Hearts will open and then together we'll shine. And we will keep that flame alive.
I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. Love is gentle, love is kind. Love is the only answer in hard times. Hate solves nothing and brings us down. Love is the only thing that turns it round. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. Dream of love, dream with your heart. When setting out in life, make love your start. When times are hard, love finds a way. Even when the word is hard to say. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear.
Our reading this morning is titled Holy Week Triptych. Now we might have to call it Holy Week Google Maps by Molly Hausch Gordon. This morning we travel oh so briefly through the days of Holy Week that our Christian friends and neighbors travel each year. These short poems will journey from the gates of the city on Palm Sunday to the cross on Good Friday, to the empty tomb on Easter Sunday. In them, I have imagined something about the experience of Jesus' followers through this time of hope, despair, and wonder. As Unitarian Universalists, we approach stories like these not in pursuit of fact or doctrine or dogma, but of wisdom about the human condition and the nature of holy. I invite you to enter into this ancient story with a searching spirit. At the gate, he came on a donkey, but we greeted him as a king. The crowd was huge that day, as though all of Jerusalem's poor, tired, downtrodden had flooded into the streets, had risen up from the streets where we lay, had risen up waving palms, had put down our only coat to shield him from the mud. We had heard about him, you see, his miracles of healing, his acts of love. We heard how he touched the lepers, eaten with the poor, turned over tables in the temple. We knew he had come to preach peace and justice. We thought he had come to save us. Can you imagine a hope like that? You're desperate. You're starving. You're praying for relief. And here he comes. Here he comes, and he's everything. He is loving and kind. He is righteous and angry. He is humble and powerful, and he cares. He cares about us, the outcasts, the prisoner, the low of low. Can you imagine a hope like that? At the cross. No, this cannot be. The man who came in like a king, our hero, trudging forward like a common thief, spat upon, insulted, betrayed. He carried our hopes, our dreams, our needs. And now he carries a cross, bruised, bloodied, weak. How could he be beaten? How could he fail us? How could we fail him? Standing by, helpless, or urging them on. No, it can't be. We are not to blame. We're too powerless, too small. We watched them mock our hope with a crown of thorns, and then they brought out the nails. That was when I turned away. I couldn't watch, but I could hear. Father, forgive them, he said, as he died. That was what broke me. Father, forgive them with his last breath. Father, forgive us. And now he's gone. The hands that healed, the ears that heard us, the heart that beat for us. He's gone. He gave us hope. He gave us purpose. He loved us, and he is gone. At the tomb. Weeping may last for a night. Weeping may last for 1,000 nights, but joy comes in the morning. That morning we went to our beloved teacher's tomb. We went to anoint his body. We carried oils and cloths. We came to the tomb in sorrow, heads bowed. But hope does not die so easily. It flickers inside, buried somewhere deep. Hope grows, blossoms like a rose, even through stone, even in hearts frozen by grief. When we arrived at the place where he lay, we dropped all that we carried in wonder, in fear, to see a tomb laid open and our beloved gone. Do not weep, said the man. This morning we rejoice. Love lives. Hope lives. Jesus is not here. He said, come and see, he is risen. Our beloved is risen. Our hope is risen. Can it be? Can it be?
My blood doth rise in the roots of yon oak, her sap doth the stars forever have lain. My hands hold the weavings of time without end. My sight as deep as the sea. Beating my heart sounds the measures of old, that of love's eternity. That of love, that of love, that of love's eternity. I feel the tides as they answer the moon, rushing on a far distant sand. Winging my song is the wind of my breast, and my love blows over the land. And my love, and my love, and my love blows over the land. My foot carries days of the old into new. Our dreaming shows us the way. Wondrous our faith settles deep in the earth, rising green to bring a new day. Rising green, rising green, rising green to bring a new day.
The Easter sunrise story unfolds with a group of women making their way to Jesus' tomb to anoint his body after death, a ritual of care. On the way, they're occupied with wondering, how are we going to move this stone? Only to arrive to find that the tomb is open and a person dressed in white is there telling him Jesus is gone, Jesus is risen, is resurrected, and they're to go back to Galilee to tell the story to other Jesus followers. The women are terrified, as it's reported in the Christian scripture of Mark chapter 16, verse 8, this way. So they went out and fled from the tomb, for terror and amazement had seized them, and they said nothing to anyone, for they were afraid. Esau Macaulay, in a recent New York Times article titled "The Unsettling Power of Easter," asks us the following question: what do we make of the fact that Mark ends his gospel story on the women's fear and silence? Macaulay continues, and I quote, "Mark's ending points to a truth that often gets lost in the celebration. Easter is a frightening prospect. For the women, the only thing more terrifying than a world with Jesus dead was one in which he was alive. We know what to do with grief and despair. We have a place for it. We have rituals that surround it. I know how to look around at the anti-Black racism, anti-Asian racism, the struggles of families at the borders, and feel despair. I know what it's like to watch the body count rise after a mass shooting, only to have the country collective shrug because we're too addicted to guns and violence. The terrifying prospect of Easter is that God calls these women to return to the same world that crucified Jesus with a very dangerous gift. Hope in the power of God, an unending reservoir of forgiveness, and an abundance of love." Closed quote. In silence, afraid, having lived through the time when the empire kills those who are speaking out against it, going back to the place where Jesus started his teaching, back to the place where everything began for them. Galilee, the land of the marginalized. These women were charged with spreading the news, continuing the story and the work of this one teacher. It was a call to resurrect love. When I was a child, Easter arrived in all its anticipation, celebration, and Easter baskets. There was no Holy Week before Easter at my house. It was just Easter morning, and on Easter morning, I wore my black and white hush puppy shoes and a special dress to church. As I got older, if I was lucky, I got to help with the service, since I was one of the acolytes. At our church, they were called altar boys until I joined the crew. Although I was well steeped in the Christian tradition, Easter was less about resurrection and more about chocolate and a fair amount of competitive egg hunting. Easter is not a documented historical event, and although we like to think of it as some poetic metaphor for renewal, the Easter message invites us to recognize that the real story is in the work of resurrecting love, the kind of love that stands as a counterpoint to the relentless, sunny, unwrinkling religiosity that has sometimes taken over the stage of American politics, the kind that ignores the power of the empire still oppressing and killing the innocent. In the face of this kind of Easter, our Unitarian Universalism calls us out of silence, out of fear, calls us to notice the damage from the Roman Empire of our time. Resurrecting love, the one that some of us have put down because it's a frightening kind of love, requires us to show up, requires us to listen and follow, to be humble, to put in place for the good of all what privilege we may have. It requires that we seek reconciliation instead of division, and it requires we look close to home. Resurrecting love invites us to notice what power we have, what privilege we have, and make choices about how to use it. It calls us to get uncomfortable, to notice when we're afraid, when we're resistant. I wonder how long it took for the woman at the tomb to move beyond their fear and come back to community and re-anchor themselves in all they had learned together. I wonder if they remembered in their grief how they got through the challenging times, just as we have gotten through our challenging times together in community. As a Unitarian Universalist, I'm challenged by what it actually means to believe our first principle that all have inherent worth and dignity, that we're all connected, and all of us should have a voice. The kind of love that calls me to stretch and grow every day, not the saccharine kind of love that we see in the card aisle at Shaw's, and not the kind of love that I occasionally pat myself on the back for noticing, like the easy to love things, doing something kind, which is important, or forgiving someone who's got the politics and religious beliefs that are basically like my own. Resurrecting love is a call beyond all that. It's the kind of love that the Major League Baseball commissioner, Robert Manfred, had when he announced Friday that the 2021 All-Star Game will no longer be held in Atlanta. Resurrecting love are tangible choices when faced with the kind of laws that continue to disenfranchise Black, Indigenous, and people of color. This love goes beyond a passive stance, beyond the role of silence. Out of the most frightening and confusing times, we are called to resurrect a radical love, to love our way into this miraculous interdependence of wholeness. Our Universalist history is rooted in knowing that love is our legacy. Love is our hope. We are encouraged not to yield to despair. The women move from the grief of their loss to fear, and eventually beyond to the kind of hope and love that carries them into Galilee again to join the vulnerable, those who haven't yet made it into the circle. In the context of today, perhaps resurrecting love also looks like making decisions about our coming back together as a community with the most vulnerable in mind. The unvaccinated, those with compromised health, children and parents, and even those who pre-COVID were not able to reach our sanctuary on Sundays. This year, let the Easter story remind you to love fiercely, love justly, and let the call of our Unitarian Universalist faith remind you of the transformative power of love.
For all that is alive, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
Our benediction words are those of David Blanchard. Out of the earth rises light, rises life, rises spring. Out of the spirit rises courage, rises hope, rises love. Go forth into this new day with joy. Happy Easter.